Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Fit Fueled Female. Before we dive in, I just want to say this one's a tough one for me. It's raw, it's personal, it's vulnerable in a way that still makes me a little nervous to share. Because it's not just about career or motherhood, it's about identity, expectations, and the pressure we carry as women to hold it all together. But I also know that when something feels really hard to say, it probably needs to be said. So I'm sharing this one for every woman who's ever felt unseen, unsupported, or silently struggling behind the scenes. Here we go. I was promoted just days before I went out on maternity leave with my first child. And yes, on paper, that sounds like a win. But in reality, it was like being handed a trophy you never trained for, and then being asked to sprint while holding it, eyes completely closed. I was still in the fog of diapers and midnight feedings when I got a text. Congrats on the new role. Huge. I remember staring at my phone thinking, huh? What new role? I was already promoted before I left. Huh. Turns out while I was on leave, I had been assigned entirely new responsibilities, announced publicly on an all-company call without ever being told directly. My boss never called. I was never briefed. I found out from a text message while I was rocking my newborn to sleep. But it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, while still technically on leave, I was expected to attend a leadership meeting. Not optional, not recorded, mandatory. I still remember the picture I took with my newborn son before my husband brought me to the airport. My eyes, they didn't just look tired, they looked sad. But I went anyway. And so there I was, pumping between sessions, checking my phone for baby updates, and pretending like I was fully in the room when my whole life, it was at home. And when I did come back full time, no roadmap, no support, just expectations. Big ones. Ones that I didn't even know had been set for me. 2 weeks back into the job, I got absolutely ripped into for not producing. Like somehow I was supposed to slide right back in, take on a brand new team, and start crushing KPIs, all while still figuring out how to be a mom, a leader, and quite honestly, a human. I felt like I was failing at everything, and no one was saying it out loud, but the message was clear. You're back, you're promoted, perform. That experience broke something in me. It lingered for years, not just emotionally, but physically. It reshaped how I saw myself as a working mom, as a leader, and as a woman trying to hold it all together without falling apart. So when I found out I was pregnant again while interviewing for a job, actually at my current company, I made a very intentional decision, one that a younger version of me never would have made. I told them. Not because I had to, but because I needed to know who I was walking into a room with. I wasn't willing to contort myself again. This time, I wasn't just looking for a role I could fit into, I was looking for a company that fit me. And what happened next, I will never forget it. They congratulated me. They sent me flowers before I was even hired. They gave me the role, knowing I'd be going out on leave just 5 months later. It was a complete 180, proof that it's possible to be respected, supported, and seen, and that the right culture doesn't make you choose between your ambition and your humanity. That's where this episode begins. Because whether you've been supported or sidelined, celebrated or silenced, this conversation is for you. That season of my life cracked something open. I had a choice. Let it harden me or let it teach me. And what it taught me was this. Lesson number 1, no one can dim what they didn't ignite. Let that sink in. No one can dim what they didn't ignite. I showed up with the spark. I earned the role. I didn't need permission to shine. But for a long time, I acted like I did. And that pressure to prove myself, it didn't end after maternity leave. I've worked for women who didn't champion me. One boss in particular, we got off on the wrong foot right away. There were preconceptions, assumptions, and this low-key tension that followed us into every meeting. We never said it out loud, but we were both thinking, you don't get me. And honestly, it came to a head. We fought it out, not in a dramatic, door-slamming way, but in a real, raw conversation where we both laid it out. The friction didn't disappear overnight, but the respect showed up after that. because we finally saw each other beyond the roles and the armor. Sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from being agreeable, it comes from being real. And then there are the men, the ones who pound their chests and bulldoze their way to the top, the ones who think volume equals value, who speak over you, interrupt you, disrespect you, and somehow still feel like they're doing you a favor by letting you talk. I've sat in those rooms. I've been dismissed, ignored, second-guessed, and then I watched those same guys take credit for my ideas 2 slides later. And every time, I had to make the same choice: shrink to stay safe or stand tall and trust my voice. I won't pretend I've always gotten it right. There were times I stayed quiet, times I told myself, just get through it. But every time I silenced myself to keep someone else comfortable, I felt it in my gut. But here's the thing: don't ever underestimate a woman in silence. Sometimes the quiet ones are the ones paying the closest attention, strategizing, choosing their moment, preparing to rise without asking for permission. Because when she finally speaks, it won't be to ask for a seat. It'll be to take the whole dang table. So if you're in that season now, if you're feeling like you have to tone it down, play small, or read the room to keep the peace, I want you to hear this. They didn't give you your fire, and they don't get to take it away. You were not handed your ambition, your grit, your leadership. You built that. You earned that, and you own it. And no one, not a boss, not a title, not a peer, not a table full of power players, can dim what they didn't ignite. Which leads me to lesson number 2. Choose you and redefine what winning looks like. For a long time, I measured success by the next title, the next step up, the perception of momentum. I believed if I wasn't constantly climbing, I must be falling behind. So when the moment came to make a move that didn't look linear, that didn't scream promotion, I struggled a lot. But I made the intentional decision to step into a role that from the outside looked like a step back. It wasn't the flashiest title, it wasn't the biggest scope, but it fit where I was in my life, as a new mom, as a leader trying to protect my energy, and as someone craving more substance than shine. And that role ended up being one of the most pivotal seasons of growth in my entire career. It challenged me in new ways, it taught me things no executive title ever had, and it gave me a foundation I didn't even know I needed. Because sometimes the right move isn't the one that looks good on LinkedIn. It's the one that actually lets you breathe. There have also been times when things were taken away from me. Roles, opportunities, access. It didn't always make sense. There wasn't always an explanation, and those moments hurt deeply. But in hindsight, those were the turning points too. Because sometimes the thing that gets taken away from you was never meant to go with you where you're headed. Sometimes the closed door is actually a redirection toward more impact, more clarity, or peace you didn't even know you were missing. And here's what I've realized. Choosing success on your own terms isn't just about you. It's about your family, your people, your orbit. When I choose alignment, my kids feel it, my marriage feels it, my team feels it, my energy shifts the room I walk into, and that ripple, that's the real win. So now, I define success differently. It's not about how fast I climb, it's about how honest I am with myself on the way up. It's about building a life that fuels me and pours into everyone around me. That's how I win now. And that's how I take back control. Because here's the thing. A woman who has control, even if you think you've taken it from her, that's power. So if this hit something in you, if you've been shrinking, quieting, questioning, maybe it's time for a move of your own, which leads me to my power move. Take back one piece of control this week, just one. Speak up in that meeting. Set the boundary you've been avoiding. Ask for what you need. Say the thing with calm, with confidence, with clarity, and with power. And then I want you to pay it forward. Lift another woman up. Celebrate her. Text her. Mention her in a room she's not in. Because a woman who's standing tall makes room for others to rise too. And when you do it, DM me. Seriously, I want to be one of the first to cheer you on. Because your defier deserves a fan club. And your wins, they're just getting started. So now, to wrap this episode up with what's been fueling me. So what has been fueling me lately? Saying no. And starting each day with God. No to the things that drain me. No to the pressure to over-explain. No to engaging in conversations or conflict that don't deserve my peace. Because every time I say no to something misaligned, I'm saying yes to something deeper: clarity, energy, and the people who matter most. And here's what's made the biggest difference: I'm beginning each day with God. Before the noise, before the inbox, before the expectations, just a few moments of quiet prayer, scripture, or stillness. It's the best armor I know. Because when I'm rooted in truth, I don't have to hustle for worth. When I'm grounded in peace, I don't have to chase validation. And when I start from that place of strength, I can walk through anything the day throws at me, calm, clear, and fully myself. That's been fueling me, and it's been everything. But before we go, I just want to say thank you. We have officially passed 350 streams, and that might not sound like a big number to some, but to me, it means you're here, you're listening, you're sharing, and it tells me we're building something real together. So if this episode spoke to you, if you felt seen, fired up, or just a little more grounded, would you please do me a favor? Leave a quick review. It helps more than you know, and it helps her find this too. The woman who's navigating motherhood, ambition, leadership, identity, all of it. We're on to something here, friends, and we're just getting started. As always, stay fit, stay fueled, and I can't wait to see you next time.